Ladies and gentlemen, it's time to meet our incredible guest for today's episode of the SMB Spotlight Show. I am absolutely delighted to introduce someone who radiates calm, compassion, and creativity. A woman on a mission to make mindfulness feel real, relevant, and reachable for everyone. So please join me in welcoming the wonderful and inspiring Sainab Abdi. Sainab is not just a mindfulness coach. She's your go-to expert for those navigating the chaos of everyday life. With her down-to-earth approach and heart-centered wisdom, she's helping people across the country slow down, reconnect, and breathe a little easier. And now she's channeled that magic into something truly special. Her beautiful new children's book, Be Here Now. This heartwarming story introduces us to Zen Cat, a wise and gentle soul who helps his anxious friend Little Hen face everyday worries with simple, powerful mindfulness techniques. It's more than just a bedtime story. It's a loving invitation to pause, reflect, and share calm moments between parent and child. Inside the book, you'll also find 4 easy mindfulness exercises thoughtfully created for little ones and the grown-ups who care for them. Because as Sainab reminds us so beautifully, mindfulness isn't just for adults. It's for everyone. So if you've been craving more stillness, more connection, or just a moment to exhale, this conversation is exactly what you need. Sainab Abdi, welcome to the SMB Spotlight Show. Sainab, thank you so much for joining us.
No problem at all. Thank you. It's my pleasure.
We have to start at the beginning. Mm-hmm. What is mindfulness?
Gosh, I'm not your average mindfulness expert. So mindfulness, the experts will say it's, living in the present moment, being where our body is. So I'm sat here now and I'm not thinking about anything else.
You're present.
I'm present.
Yeah.
But I think sometimes the word mindfulness conjures up ideas of sitting in rooms and meditating, and actually you can just be mindful doing anything. You can be mindful washing your head.
Okay.
Earlier when I was showering, I had a really mindful shower. It was beautiful. Just massaging my scalp and really being present with that.
Wow.
Because often when we shower, when we eat, when we do just the normal minutiae of life, we're not there. Our body's doing the activity.
Our brains are doing 1 million other things.
Correct. And that's what causes anxiety and stress. So being mindful is really doing one thing at a time. So being where your body is. So if you're washing up, be washing up. Your mind has to also be washing up with you.
Wow. So you don't have to be still, because that's the thing. When I think of mindfulness, I've always seen, I have to be in a little space and being still.
No, I mean, meditation, for example, is something that people will do on a Tuesday at 7 p.m.
Yeah.
Right? And that's great. Meditation is like, it's a tool. It's a bit like training wheels on a bike.
Yeah.
So the idea is that you learn to focus on your breath.
Yeah.
And focusing on your breath means, like we said earlier, that your body and your mind are in the same place. Yeah. And then eventually you take the training wheels off and you have to take that to every day. Yeah. So now I have to be mindful here. I'm aware of my feet on the ground, how they feel. My butt on this chair now, my hand on the pillow, I can feel it.
As you said that, I'm now trying to feel the feet.
So using our senses to ground us in this moment right here.
That's incredible.
That's all we have. We only have now.
It's true.
So be here now.
It's true.
Yeah.
Because we are so focused on tomorrow and the what if and
last week and next week and
what if. Everything but
constantly,
now.
Constantly, yes. But we only ever have now. It's wild when you think about it. So we're constantly somewhere else.
Yeah.
But we only actually have now.
Time traveling all the time.
But we don't have this time. We only have now. The future, when it comes, will also be now.
That's so crazy.
And yesterday, when it happened, was now.
It was then.
It was only ever now.
That is
so let's focus on the bloody now.
That's mind blowing. It really is mind blowing.
It's wild, isn't it? But we don't think like that. We treat our lives as a means to an end.
Yeah.
So, for example, just now to get here, I have to take a train.
Yeah.
So for me, practicing mindfulness, when I first began, it was like, right, sitting on the train, noticing the floor. Ooh, all the different trains have different patterns. Noticing the sounds, because actually I have to be here, because often when we're on a train, we're using this time, which is actually our life, as a means to an end. So we're literally like get here, get that,
Yep.
got this to do,
Yep.
that to do, yesterday, tomorrow, the kids, the bills. And then you get to work and then you want to get through the day.
Yep.
And then you get home and you want to get through the week. Getting through your life like
Yeah,
this.
yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So just being present and not using my life as a means to an end to something else. And when I get to that something else, to the next thing, to the next thing, and then we're dead.
I love the fact you
What
said
on earth?
it's your life, you know.
This is my life,
We
yeah.
use it like it's just quick currency.
But to get to where are we
Yeah.
getting to? That's the trouble. And we're told things like, "Oh, it's Monday. This is my life.
Yeah.
This Monday is my day.
Yeah.
This is my.
Yeah.
This Monday is my life."
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
we called it Hump Day, the Wednesday.
I know,
We're literally
I know,
trying
I
to
know, I
wish
know.
away our week. And it's like, hang on a minute, people. This is our life.
Yeah.
We're all gonna, we're all getting older every day, and we're getting closer to death. And what are we doing? Wishing our lives away.
Wishing.
So being mindful is like, stop,
Yeah.
come off the merry-go-round,
Yeah, the
and
rat
live
race.
in this,
Yeah.
because life is made of the small moments. So getting married, winning, getting a promotion, all these things are just, they don't happen that often.
Yeah.
But the minutia, the coffee drinking, the walking to the station, that is what life is made of.
Yeah.
So if every event like that is enjoyable,
a
then the
beautiful
sum of
life.
your life is
It's a
enjoyable.
beautiful life.
But it's so simple, but so difficult to do because we're not taught that.
No, we're not.
Yeah.
So let's go back a bit. What was your upbringing like? What was your childhood like?
Oh, I maybe all day.
Oh, God.
Yeah, so I was a child refugee, right? So,
Really?
yes. I was born in Somalia, and then in the late 80s there was a war. I lived in refugee camps. Then came to the UK when I was 6. I had a difficult upbringing,
Yeah.
and I had anxiety
Yeah.
from as early as the earliest memories of anxiety, maybe from about 11.
Seriously.
Yeah, that's my earliest memories of being anxious, and then it just got worse throughout. I had peaks and troughs, I guess.
Yeah.
Uni days probably were the hardest, as
yeah.
the anxiety, the stress of life builds. I guess the anxiety got worse, and then I went through what most people go through: go to the doctor, get pills.
Yeah.
The pills don't work.
Yeah.
Maybe they work for a bit,
Yeah.
but they don't really work. They're
Yeah.
not really a solution.
It's not the root cause, is it?
Correct.
Yeah.
Have CBT, have this therapy. And I'm not saying anything against therapy. Therapy is great, but for me, I did all the things
Yeah.
that one would do
Yeah.
in order to try to deal with anxiety and depression and things. And also, some of the stuff was not that helpful.
Yeah.
Negative things,
Yeah.
substances, for example, which actually at that time, that was the best I
making
could
it
do.
work.
But that's the
Yeah.
best you can do. So it's never like, I never look back and think, oh, what were you doing then? I was doing my best.
Yeah.
And then I had, it'd be like a breakdown, everything just went. And after the breakdown, which everything happens, I believe we're always being divinely guided.
Yeah.
I found the works of Rumi, the poet.
Yeah.
And he was a Sufi poet, but he wrote a lot about things like mindfulness. And from his poetry, in a really dark place, I discovered Eckhart Tolle, who wrote The Power of Now. And then since that day, I've been given breadcrumbs. So one teacher led to the next teacher, led to meditation, led to... And in a short 5 years, I'm unrecognizable. I'm brand new. I literally feel like I'm a new woman.
incredible.
It's wild.
That's
and
incredible.
the biggest difference is I just live in the present moment.
Yeah.
I don't stress about anything.
Yeah.
Because for why? What are we stressing about? What for?
Honestly, I love it because I say for why a lot
Yeah.
as well. For why?
Really, I've missed the train, for example.
Yeah.
I always give this a good example of when let's say you miss the train.
Yeah.
You have two options.
Yeah.
The train has gone, so
Yes,
you can
yes.
ring up work and be like, hey, I'm running late, and you can sit and enjoy your coffee.
Yeah.
Or you can sit and dwell on it and say, if my husband had got out of the shower
Yeah,
sooner,
yes.
If my kids did this, hey,
Yes.
had I gone to bed earlier last night, just beat yourself up. So now you have two problems.
Yeah.
A, you've missed the train and now you're really upset.
Yeah, 'cause it's gone to the rest of your day as well.
Correct. And also that starts a cascade of actual hormonal changes. Cortisol levels going up, stress,
We forget about that, you know.
Correct. So these thoughts that are constantly jibber-jabbering create actual physical symptoms, which actually in the long term, constantly being on that cortisol is really damaging.
Wow.
Yeah.
Would you say that growing up, obviously you have had what people would refer to as quite a traumatic experience?
I think most people to a lesser or greater extent have some trauma, yes.
Would you say that you felt a need for that kind of quietness, even if you don't know if it was mindfulness, but would you say that growing up, looking back now, you felt like you did have a need to kind of be in the present moment at the time?
not consciously. I wasn't aware of a need,
Yeah.
but I know.
Yeah, now looking
Now
at
I
it
know
yeah,
I did
yeah,
have the need, sure, yes.
Would you say that your experiences have shaped you into kind of who you
Oh,
are now?
absolutely, gosh, without a shadow of a doubt. And
Yeah.
actually, I would not change the hardest...
I was going to ask you that, you know,
no,
but I
the
thought,
hardest days of my life.
Really?
I know so much. I've learned so much. I'm so grateful. I'm so humble. It's taught me so much. It's taught me so much that I couldn't be here today without that. I wouldn't take it back.
Honestly, that was one of the questions I was going to ask you about. I thought, how can you say that to someone?
Yeah. No, I wouldn't take it. Even the hardest days have been so worth it. Yeah, absolutely. And I can now be a great teacher because I know.
Yeah.
Like, I heard a lovely quote once, and it said, I had to become like you so you could become like me.
Wow.
So you have to sometimes some of us have to lose our way to find our way, to lead help others. Correct. So unless you go through it yourself. Yeah.
That's incredibly beautiful.
I know, it's
beautiful.
It's great. Yeah.
Can I ask you though?
Sure.
What was the moment or series of moments that made you pursue mindfulness as more than just a personal practice?
People around me, my friends.
The need.
Yeah. And patience. I'm an optometrist by profession, so every day I see 15, 16, 17, 18 new people. They come into my room, they come for their eyes.
Yep.
But it's a human attached to the eyes, right? So constant worries, anxieties, and then I always say to patients, what are you worried about? Well, I've been getting headaches. I think what if it's a brain tumor? Like, is it likely to be a brain tumor?
Yeah.
And you after doing this job for a very long time, you realize that often the anxieties are not really about this brain tumor. They're just about the health anxiety in general.
Yeah.
Or people are constantly worried about things to a lesser or greater extent. There's a general malaise, general dis-ease amongst all people.
Yeah.
Some is palpable. They come in and they're like this. You can just tell. Others, it's in the background. But we've all got it to a lesser or greater extent. And so for me, it was for my friends and my family, my patients, just people around me, and just seeing it. The more I could, so the more I'm mindful, the more I see clearer.
Yeah.
And then I can see people's reactions are because of their upbringing, because of the conditioning, because we're all just a product of our conditioning.
Yeah, we are. We are, whether we like it or not.
Yeah, but you have to see that. Then you know that you're reacting from that space,
But do you think it's possible for people to become more than just a collection of their upbringing?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But it requires...
work.
Yes, but it requires, firstly, you have to see it.
True.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah. I've got a really... a great analogy that I really like. I created this for myself.
Yeah, go on.
It's about, imagine a pair of glasses, right?
Yes.
And let's say quite big glasses. And when you're born, your glasses are clear.
Yeah.
But then your experience is tarnished. So like, let's say you feel bad about yourself, so low self-worth, all these things start to tarnish the glasses.
Yeah.
Then when you're grown, you walk around with these glasses and you see life through whatever glasses. Yeah. So depending on what kind of family you had, that's very important. Like how your parents brought you up, what kind of education you got, all that stuff will tarnish the glasses. So then that means all of us can look at the same, we see the bowl of fruit, but because my glass is different to your glass, to different people's glasses, we look at the same thing differently. So it's just understanding that we are always reacting, we're seeing life through our glasses. Yeah. So then taking the glasses off, turning them around and looking at them. Yeah. I look at things through my lack, through low self-esteem, and we are, Louise Hayes, great spiritual teacher and healer, she's passed on now, but she's great. She said we are all victims of victims. Right? Yeah. So our parents did their best, and even if their best was a bit pants, that was their best. Yeah. So we all have to, no one's coming to save you, right? Yeah. You have to take your glasses off, turn them around, we're going to work through.
Clean those glasses.
Yeah, but one by one, let's work through the self-esteem issues, let's work through the lack, let's work through the insecurities, let's work through all the bits. And that's how it has to be done. But it's an inside thing. Like outside, you can change the outside, which is what we all try to do. I try to do that.
But the root cause is inside.
Yeah.
It's inside.
Yeah, so it's not going to make a difference.
No.
Yeah.
What challenges would you say that mindfulness have helped you navigate?
Everything.
Yeah.
Like everything, my whole life.
Could you tell me like where the turning point was for you? Because you mentioned obviously the different things you tried, whether it's substance, CBT. At what point did you be like, okay, wait, this is it, and this is working?
So I think the biggest breakthrough was after I read The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle, and then I started to watch some, this is during the COVID.
Yeah.
And then Understanding that I wasn't my thoughts. That was the biggest breakthrough. Understanding the thoughts in my head are not me. They're just thoughts. Like there's a voice in my head.
Yeah.
To notice that there's a voice in your head that doesn't shut up, that's constantly, it berates us, it complains, it moans, realizing that, hang on a minute, there is a voice.
Yeah. And it's not me.
And it's not me. And when we're told, you should think positively, it suggests that we have volition of our thoughts, and we don't have volition of our thoughts. Our thoughts are just a product of our upbringing. So if you were told when you were a child, you're not any good, surprise, surprise, your thoughts are going to tell you you're not any good even when you're an adult. So just to be aware, noticing these thoughts.
It's such a powerful statement, and I know people listen and say, "Oh, it's easier said than done."
Yes, yeah.
What advice would you give to people who are just
baby steps? I started baby steps, right? So when I first started with mindfulness, it was things like doing the washing up, right?
Yeah.
Washing up, noticing the soap in my hand, seeing the suds on the plate.
Yeah.
Then my mind, this would only happen for about 30 seconds maybe. Then it would be like, and then I'd be like, oh, back again, washing my hands, going up and down the steps. 1 step, 2 steps. Literally, I'm not
Baby
literally baby steps. Walking down the road, cracks in the pavement, just using my senses to be present. But it's taken years, and it's still a work in progress.
Yeah.
I'm not always present.
And I love that. Do you know what? I love that honesty,
Yeah.
because I think that's the thing. Sometimes when there are things that can help us as people, practitioners will say, "Oh, I'm perfect now. Everything is good now. It's all good." You know?
Progress. I think until you go to your grave, you're going to be doing this healing work. There's a lot to do.
Yeah. And like, it's a marathon, not a sprint.
Absolutely. Yeah. And then you just take the next one with you. The one that's just a little bit behind you. Yeah, that's all you can do. And the more you become present, the more you heal, the kinder you are to yourself, then the kinder you are to others. Because you can't be kind to others if you're not kind to yourself.
And I say this a lot of the time as well, because it's almost like you can't pour from an empty cup. You know, you need, and it's not being selfish. It does, but it's the truth. And it's not being selfish either. No. You know, because if I'm damaged and hurt, how am I supposed to be nice to someone
You won't
else?
be nice to somebody else. You won't be. It's impossible. Yeah.
Yeah. What kind of stuff, looking at the community, what did you feel, or what did you see was lacking when you started this journey?
I think it's just every day and everyone, constantly, our reactions. Like I said, we walk around with these glasses on and we react accordingly. So it's just, I can constantly see my friends, my family, my patients, just all the time, being in our minds, jibber-jabbering and reacting from the past. So for me, it's just something I just see around me all the time, on TV, everywhere. People just reacting and living from lack, from scarcity, from low self-esteem, from low self-worth, because of the past and the voices in our head and not being aware of it. That's the problem. So these things it is what it is. It's happened, but it's just the lack of awareness. Yeah.
What are the most common misconceptions you've had to work against when it comes to mindfulness? You know, people that have their thoughts or ideas of what mindfulness is. What have you kind of had to navigate against?
I think a lot of people think that mindfulness is about sitting around, noodle legs, spaghetti legs, sitting around, which is great if you have the time for that. That's wonderful. If you have time to sit and meditate, to put on some incense, great. Yeah. But I think often people think that's the only way to do it. Yeah. And most of us don't have that time. No. Jobs, busy lives, maybe a small house. I don't have space to sit around meditating like that. So. You can do it. Yeah. Do it on the train, on your way to work. Do it in work.
Honestly,
do it now.
You saying this is the first time I've ever heard that.
Do it now, like right now. Be present as you talk to me. Become aware that you are aware. Yeah. As you're talking to me.
That's crazy. I'm just trying to think. Okay, I'm trying to feel the floor.
Yeah.
But trying to feel the cushion.
Yeah. You can do it now.
This.
So you don't need a special practice. Yeah. That's the biggest misconception. Is that you need to take special classes, do special lessons, wear special clothes, turn on special incense. Yeah. It's nothing special.
Would you say those are the main barriers?
I would say so. And then also, society, life, what we're told from the past, you know, and there's an old way and a new way. So the old way, in my mind, and in spiritual circles, we call it the new earth. The new earth is going to be different. So I feel like going forward, we're realizing there's no one coming to save us, right? We've got to do the inner work ourselves.
Powers of us.
Correct. And then things like, for example, trigger warning, i.e., let's just give you an example. You know, when they put trigger warning on things. In the old way, we were told, I don't like this feeling, so what we're going to do is we're going to protect me from anything that's going to wake this feeling up in me. So you have triggered me, I'm not your friend anymore. And they have triggered me, so I'm not going to go there anymore. And this is triggering me, I'm not going to listen to this anymore. So you can spend your whole life wrapped in bubble wrap, avoiding your triggers. Or we can do the new way, which is, it's not their fault. This is inside me. I'm being triggered. So what is it? Correct. And then we're going to look inside and work on that. But it's not the other people. You made me feel this way is nonsense. No one makes you feel any way. The feeling has to be inside you to begin with. Right? So to look inside. So it's an inside job. Everything's inside. The answers are inside you.
That's incredible.
There's nobody out there.
And it feels very empowering. Because I feel like with the old way, we give power to other things and to other people rather than being like, you know what, I've got the power to look inside and see where this is coming from and what's causing it and essentially heal it and fix it.
That's right, know? And then just, you know, looking outside of us, like you said, so we often think society's problems are going to be fixed by a new government, a new religion, a new something. The trouble with the new government is the government are just people. Right? The society, any institution that comes to save us, they're still just people. So unless the people of this institution are healed and can make healing decisions, they're going to have the same problems. So it's not a new government. It's not a new thing, because the government is just people. You know. My little sister's a doctor, and yesterday we were talking about psychiatry, and you know it's racist or whatever. And I said, well, psychiatry is just some doctors who are just people. And if they are not healed and not well, then they're going to make decisions from an unwell place. So it is for each of us to do the work. So if you are well and then you're a teacher, you're going to make well decisions as a teacher. You're going to do teaching well. If you're a doctor, if you're a healed doctor, you're going to do healing better. If you're whatever, each one teach one, we all get better.
I love that.
That is the new way. So we each have to do our work, our healing
it's on
work.
each of us.
Each of us to do our healing work, because when you're healed, you can be more healing and loving to others. When you're a parent, you can. When you're a healed parent, you can break the cycle of, you know, my parents were doing their best, but it wasn't great, and then you parent in the same way, and then so on and so forth. So the only way to really break the cycle is for each one of us, to do the healing work ourselves.
Incredible. We're gonna move over a little bit now. We're gonna talk about your incredible new children's book, Be Here Now. Can you tell me what inspired the story of Zen Cat and Little Hen?
I think for me, I feel called to teach, right? And for me, it's not that I necessarily want to teach on social media or be a writer. I don't really care in which way. I just want to do it, right? Correct. So for myself, I wish I had been taught to be present when I was a child. So for me, it's like, how can we teach children to be present? Children like books, and that's kind of how it came about. And it's just a simple story of being in this present moment and not worrying about the future, but accessible to little minds. And my niece and my nephew, for example, when they read it, my niece has just turned 8, my nephew's 5, and I said to them, do you understand what it's about? They're like, yes, and they got it.
Wow.
And it's amazing, and we don't give them enough credit. And it's like we have to teach them early that they need to be in the present moment.
How did that moment feel for you, knowing that you've been able to use your work that you do with adults to now being in a position where you can explain this to children and them understand it?
How does that make me feel? Humbling, grateful. It's wonderful. I'm just so, honestly, I love this. This is not a chore to me. This is amazing. I love talking about this. My favorite topic. And my friends initially, sometimes they're either glazing over, they're like, please stop talking about this. They constantly talk about this. So for me, this is a pleasure. I would do this for free. I'm happy just to go around teaching. If people would listen to me, I'd be like talking about it every day. So for me, it's just, it's amazing. I love it so much. So for me, it's a joy. Every day I get to teach. Even the ladies sat on the train next to me, we get a little chat and we talk about mindfulness. It's a joy. I love it.
And what kind of response have you gotten from, you know, people, families and educators and adults? And
most people, I think, overwhelmingly positive. I think
Yeah.
people, there's an inner knowing, I think, that each of one of us have.
Yeah.
So, for example, I feel like there's something that when I watched Eckhart Tolle talk about living in the present moment, I'd never heard of this little man that sits in a chair. He's like a little German man, sits in a chair. There's nothing exciting about it.
Yeah.
But he sits and he talks about mindfulness.
Wow.
But there was an inner knowing, subconscious. There was a part of me that understood what he was saying. What he was saying to be the truth.
Yeah.
And in that same way, I feel like as humans, when we have this interaction, there's something inside you that knows,
like
an innate knowing that knows this is the way.
Wow.
Yeah.
What does a typical day look like for you? You know.
At the moment, I am wrapping up or scaling down my optometry work.
Okay.
So I am still an optometrist, so I still go to work and see my patients.
Yeah.
And like I said, whilst they come for their eyes, they get the mindfulness.
Oh, they're lucky patients, you know.
They are 2 for 1. So yeah, I go to work. I do a little bit of teaching.
Yeah.
And then I spend my evenings really meditating, or I spend a lot of time on my own, which used to be literally the worst thing for me. I used to hate being on my own, but now I just love it. Reading, meditating, just living mindfully. Yeah.
Are there any rituals that you use daily that you could give, people who are trying to get into it and learn more, any advice about?
Basic people.
Yeah.
Be here now. That's all. It literally, it's not very exciting, but it's the truth. It's just being present now and now. And now, all the time.
It's like you hear it and you want to do it, and you just start baby steps. Baby steps.
Yeah. And then I think often people want to be. They're like, well, I'm not very good at it. I'm not good at meditating. It's like no one's good at it. That's the whole point. Yeah. Nobody sits around like this for an hour with an empty mind. And I don't know anyone that does. It's not a thing.
It's not a thing.
Yeah, but I think people think it's a thing, and then when they can't do it, they give up because they think my mind's not quiet. Well, no one's mind. No one's mind's quiet.
Something that you mentioned just now that I think is very interesting, though, is spending a lot of time by yourself.
Yes.
And I think a lot of people don't like to spend time by themselves.
But why do you think that is?
Maybe they don't like who they are.
Because their mind. Our mind is
that too.
It's literally our inner tormentor, constantly tormenting us. So spending time by myself has been a product of my being well.
Nice.
So it's taken time to get there, but it's not something that I could do. It's not something that I would say, go make yourself sit by yourself. If you can't do it, you can't do it.
Yeah.
You will.
Yeah.
When you become, the more you are in your healing journey, and you heal this and you heal that, you get more and more well, and eventually you start to really enjoy it.
I go to the cinema by myself and I love it.
Yeah.
But obviously that's not me necessarily. Well, that is me being mindful. Now that I understand mindfulness, not just to be me being in a silent room somewhere.
Yeah.
I'm in a cinema, I'm fully engaged in what I'm watching,
Cinema's a little bit of a different one.
Okay, go and talk to me.
Because when we're in a movie, we get involved in what's going on in the movie. We're not. So the way to be mindful in the cinema is a bit complicated. Is you have to be aware that you're watching.
Oh.
So being aware that you're aware.
I don't know if, baby steps for me.
Baby steps.
Baby steps for me.
Yeah.
Can we do a quick fire round of questions?
Sure, yeah.
So, what is your go-to mindfulness practice in under 2 minutes?
Just being here right now.
Okay.
But in under 2 minutes.
Yeah. So right now, what are you doing to be mindful?
Right now, I'm aware.
Okay.
That I'm aware.
Okay.
So I'm aware that I'm in this room. I can feel.
And you're using your senses.
I'm using my senses to do that. Yeah. Also, I'm just aware of everything that I can feel. Like the sounds around us.
Okay.
I can feel a little bit of warmth from this light above my head.
Yeah.
My cheeks are a little bit warm. I can feel that.
Yeah.
My hands are a bit cold and feel that.
Yeah.
Just being really aware of all the sensations going on.
I actually really love that. I was like, I can put my hands on cold too.
Yeah. But just being aware of all those things. Just all the sensations inside inside your body.
And then, what is your favourite sound, scent, or sensation that brings you calm?
What is my favourite sound? Probably water.
Oh,
if you like sea sound.
Yeah, it's very calming, isn't it?
Yeah.
And one mindful moment that recently surprised you.
Okay, so I was in Venice last year with my friend, and I took just a backpack, and so all my dresses were crumpled in the bag, right? So they're all crumpled in the bag, and then we're going to go out that day. So my friend, who I I've known since school. She's really glamorous and just
Yeah.
like well put together. She's
Yeah.
fabulous. And I'm like, right, shall I iron this dress or shall I iron all the dresses? Right? That thought,
Yeah.
shall I iron this dress or the other dresses, led to a cascade of, well, Rhoda, my friend,
Yeah.
would iron all the dresses. Well, that's because Rhoda's really good and you're not good. Da, 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 da. But now, because I'm so aware, I'm like, oh, whoa,
Yeah,
that escalated.
you caught it. Yeah,
Correct,
yeah,
do you
yeah,
see?
yeah, yeah.
So the more you are mindful, the more you
Wow.
listen to your mind, you know what it's doing to you. Like, that really escalated. So hang on, from ironing my dress, and that's what happens. Sometimes when we become
Crazy.
anxious, we think, I'm anxious. What are you anxious about? I don't know. That's because you're not aware of the
Yeah,
cascade.
yeah,
You're not aware.
yeah.
There was a thought
Yeah, yeah,
that
yeah.
led to the thoughts from the
Yeah.
past, led to a feeling,
Yeah.
led to Oh, that really surprised me. But I was like, whoa,
That's so incredible.
wild, isn't it? Yeah,
It's-
yeah, absolutely.
And the reason I love the fact because I say wild all the time because
Yeah.
even the other day I was like, oh, I'm annoyed, but I'm not quite sure what's annoying
Correct.
me.
There would have been a thought that led to a feeling that led to that, and that's what happens. But it's when you're so in your mind, you have to be quiet enough to see it happening.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask. What advice would you give me in that moment for me to try and reach a place of healing where I can understand what my, I don't want to say the word trigger, but
Yeah.
what my cause was?
Yeah. The good news is there's nothing you have to do.
Okay.
In the seeing is the healing, and there's a great book by a lady called Mary O'Malley, and she says that in the seeing is the healing. So, for me to become aware that I've just had that experience, whoa, so that's me not ironing these dresses has led to I'm a horrible
completely
human.
different,
Like that's
yeah.
but just in that awareness is my healing. You just see
Yeah, okay,
to
I
see these
understand,
things.
I
So in the
understand.
seeing is the healing.
I
So
understand.
yeah, just becoming aware of these things.
And in that moment when you became aware,
Yeah.
what was the outcome? Did you iron one?
No,
dress?
only I'm the one.
Yeah.
Just did the one dress.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. What would you say are the core values or practices that have helped you build a mindful, sustainable, and heart-centered business?
I think when you are mindful and when you are healed, you will make decisions from that place.
Yeah, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So I'm just starting out my business.
Yeah.
I'm right at the beginning. And for me, my goal is I'm not too bogged down in the outcome.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm very happy.
We're time traveling all the time, aren't we? We're looking at the future, we're looking at the
yeah,
past.
I'm not worried too much about like where this will end.
Yeah.
Just do what feels good to
Yeah.
you now.
In the moment.
And then, and just let the universe take care of the rest of it.
Now, that being said, there's a lot going on.
Yes.
You know, how do you protect yourself? How do you protect your peace with everything that you're doing? And, you know, sometimes speaking to others who aren't healed, they may try and, not intentionally, but kind of bring you back to where they are at. How do you protect yourself and guard yourself?
I think, firstly, with regards to other people that are not healed, everyone's on their journey and everyone's doing their best.
Yeah.
And in the understanding that if I had lived their life and had the exact same experience, I would be exactly like they are. In that understanding comes humility, empathy, and just the understanding that they are where they need to be, and they can't do any better just now. So that's the first thing, and then the second thing is when you
That's
are
really kind.
when you are grateful and you are high vibrational. I feel like you're just untouchable. These things don't really doesn't bother you. Things don't. I believe you are literally living on a parallel universe. You're vibrating very high. People that are vibrating very low, I don't really have.
You don't interact.
I don't.
You don't
I just
cross
have a
paths.
very. Life is pretty chill for me. Synchronicities happen. Positive things happen to me. I don't really see that many negative things.
Can you talk to me about the importance of gratitude?
Gosh, gratitude is the. I would say gratitude is probably the most underrated.
Yes.
It's so underrated, but so important.
Yeah.
Because we've got so much to be grateful for.
Yeah.
We're constantly complaining about this or that or the other, but gratitude is the quickest way to raise your vibration. If you're having a horrible day, if you feel like something's wrong, if you turn it around and look at what you have to be grateful for, you'll feel better.
Yeah.
It's like a magic antidote to not feeling well. Yeah.
I totally agree. And even I feel like in my life I've seen that when I became more grateful, I attracted better things.
Sure. Yeah.
You know,
right. You will.
You I love the fact you said it's underrated, because I truly actually believe that people don't realize that being grateful is like, it's not magic, but it really does change things. It
does, yeah. And also, I think we're all just following like a broken system. So people are doing their best with what they know, right? And even the people that make up the system are just other people that are broken. Do you know what I mean? So as a society, I feel like we've just, for such a long time, been taught the wrong things and just made decisions from a place of not being well. That's how we are where we are. However, having said that, I feel like there's a lot of people that are awake now to this spiritually aware people. Mindfulness is on the rise. There are we're very lucky to live in a time where there's so many teachers and healers and people that, Eckhart Tolle, Michael A. Singer, Louise Hay, so many amazing teachers that are present and past, and we've got access to this knowledge. So there are lots of people waking up, lots of young people in particular doing the inner work. So I'm very hopeful for the future going forward.
I love that, because it's the inner work, isn't it?
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
most important.
Yeah.
What advice would you give to anyone who wants to lead a purpose-driven life?
I think don't make it so big. Don't think about it as a purpose-driven life.
Okay.
Just be present now. Let's just focus on just now.
Just
what's wrong now? That's what I say to people when they're like, "Oh, I'm having a terrible day. I'm not going around." I'm like, "So, what's wrong right now?" And they're like, "Nothing." I'm like, "Right, exactly. So nothing is wrong right this minute." So let's start with that. And often, if someone's complaining and moaning and they're upset, if you ask them what's wrong now, but they will often say nothing, because actually nothing is wrong now. They're just complaining about what this person did and how dare she and why did they, and it's some nonsense that's gone or is imagined.
I keep saying it, time traveling. It's even a part of the future.
Yeah, and what can we do about something that's imagined? Yeah. What if this happens? Well, if it really happened, we could fix it or not, But like, for example, when my mum passed away a few years ago.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah, thank you so much. And she was poorly for some time. And when she was not well, in years gone by, and she was in hospital, for example, the fear of her passing away caused me and my sisters, I guess, I'll speak for them as well, but for me anyway, personally, a lot of pain, the idea of it, right? Yeah. When she did pass away, I'm not saying it was easy, but you just get on with it.
It was done.
You just deal with it. In the present moment, you organise a funeral, you start your grieving process, you deal with it. Yeah. Or another example I like to use is if you had a car accident, right? If you start worrying about car accident, you're like, oh, if there's an accident, your mind is going, the cortisol's going up, the fight or flight is happening. Can't do it. You can't stop this car accident because it's not a real car accident. Yeah. It's just a worry. However, if you had a real car accident, if somebody's hurt, we take them to the hospital. If someone's dead, unfortunately, we just bury them.
You deal with it then.
Well, do you know what I mean? Like, we deal with the situation, but we cannot deal with things that are imagined.
Yeah, and also things that have happened.
Yeah, the past or the future we can't do anything about. So we just have to focus on now.
I hope you don't mind me asking, because my dad also passed away a few years ago, and he was also ill before he passed. How did mindfulness help you with your grieving process? Because that process to me is something that I had never been prepared for.
Yes.
And I even found myself towards the year anniversary. Yes. As I got towards the end of the year, I started feeling as though it was about to happen again.
Sure.
And it was my brain kind of been like, but no, wait. This can't happen twice. It's already happened and it's final. Sure. How did mindfulness help you through that journey?
Let's start with the anniversary. So for me, my mum's anniversary is the 8th of October. I don't do anything special for it. Okay. Because for me, the 8th of October is no different to the 9th of October, the 10th of January, the 11th of March. Like, it's a society. It's a social construct. Do you see what I mean? Yeah. So it's not, it's like, the day is coming and I start to feel sad.
Yeah.
It's just... To what end? Is it, do you miss them any less or any more? No. Yeah. With regards to death is natural. Yeah. It's just as natural as birth.
That's the hardest thing to come to.
Yeah, but we have to accept that, and we have to accept our own mortality as well.
Gosh.
That's what we are going to die.
Gosh.
And we should talk about it more. We should really, as a society, there are things that you're taught from a young age. What will you do for your job? What will you do? All this stuff, right? When you get married, how many kids? All this nonsense, right? Which may never happen. But death, which is definitely happening.
Unfortunately, death and taxes.
Nobody talks about death.
Yeah.
Like when our mum died, there's so much paperwork involved. No one told me about this. Hello?
Having to go and register it and all of that. Yeah.
So we need to, as a society, become more comfortable talking about death.
Yeah.
Death, like birth and death, normal.
Yeah.
Death is normal. We're all going to die. We're all, I always say to my patients when they're complaining about stuff, I say, we're all terminal anyway.
Oh, gosh.
Yes. Well, are you not terminal? We are all terminal.
Oh, God, it's true.
Is it not the truth,
true,
right?
yeah.
And the more you become okay with your own mortality, death is normal. It really helps. It helps with the grieving because, and also it depends whether you believe death is the end or not.
Yeah, of course.
But but becoming death is just natural.
Springboarding on something you've just said though, I do agree that in schools, I don't think we're taught enough about death and bereavement and grief. But how do you teach mindfulness to children without it seeming like just another task? What advice would you give? How would you do that?
I think mindfulness has to become part of your life.
Okay.
It's not like a class one takes. The same as it's not sitting in the corner and doing meditation. It's when we're eating at breakfast.
Yeah.
Are your children on the iPad and eating? Because that's not mindful.
Yeah.
Are your children, teaching them to sit and be aware of every meal, every bite, what can they taste? Just teaching them to be mindful when they're eating, when they're showering, and it just becomes part of their life. Then, So it's not. It's a lifelong thing that you do every day.
Yeah. And talking a little bit in the future.
Yes.
Is there another book or project that you are dreaming of creating next?
All the books, all the projects. Yeah, so I've got a few books. I've got a few books that are like ready-ish.
Okay.
I haven't done the illustration. The manuscripts are ready.
Okay. Are these children's books? Adult
children's books, yeah. But like I said, I just want to teach mindfulness. If I have to sing, not that I can sing, I'll do it. Do you know what I mean? So I am, like I said, scaling back my optometry work. Yes. So in due course, there shall be more projects. I'm leaving it to the universe. Like I just go with the flow.
So how long did it take for you to, completely create the first book?
Oh, the story was easy. That was the easy part. It's just navigating this.
The rest of it.
Trying to get an editor. Just knowing how to go through the process. That was But the stories come to me easily.
Well, I'm excited for the new ones.
Yeah.
Oh, are they going to be a series or are they going to be standalone?
I've got Zen Cats. I've got 2 or 3 other Zen Cat books, and then there's others. But this is how it comes. I basically think, how teaching like boredom, for example. Yes. Boredom is not a bad thing. Yeah, it's important to just sit and teach your children.
Sometimes being bored.
It's okay just to sit.
It's okay to be bored.
It's okay to just sit here and do nothing. You don't need stimulation at all times.
Yes.
So then I thought, right, so how could you teach that to children? And then it's like, Bella's boredom. And then it's inspired by how do you teach. And that's kind of how it works.
That's beautiful. Yeah. And I love that because I think, especially as I'm maturing and we're looking at the next generations, being bored seems like it's such a bad thing.
I know.
God forbid I'm bored for 5 minutes.
Yeah. But also just sitting and looking around and being present. Because when we're engaged in devices and things, you're not being mindful. You're being sucked in by whatever you're watching. Yeah. So we're not mindful at all. So sitting around, and even when you go to a coffee shop, sometimes I sit and I drink my coffee and I look around. But then people look at you funny. So you have to kind of make sure you sit somewhere where you can look out the window.
I love a people watching there. I love it.
Just sit and just do nothing. It's okay. It's not a bad thing.
It's okay.
And actually, it's funny because we make kids sit in the naughty corner. So we make sitting and doing nothing into
seem like a punishment.
It's wild, isn't it? Yeah. Yeah, we do. You sit there and you do nothing for a while.
Oh, I'm like, okay, I'll take my time out.
Yeah, exactly.
Give me time out. But thinking of legacies, what kind of legacy do you hope to leave behind through Mindful now?
Gosh, I honestly couldn't think that far into the future. I just do one day at a time, just do one project at a time and just wherever. The universe is my teacher and my leader, so I just follow.
And I think that makes so much sense. I think what I've taken away is one step at a time.
Correct.
One step at a time.
Right, yeah.
What would you want parents, what is the main thing you want parents and children to take away from Be Here Now?
What I would like people to take away from the books is for parents to become aware of their need to be mindful, and then help their children be mindful, but just in a really simple way, just doing day-to-day tasks, and just hopefully to inspire conversation about mindfulness, and then hopefully be a springboard for living a mindful life.
Yeah, I understand. I appreciate that.
Yes.
You have mentioned a few great authors already. Are there any other books or resources or authors that you can recommend?
So I think for myself personally, The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle was revolutionary. Amazing, just such a great book. And I think once you go down the rabbit hole, you will be guided. One thing will lead to the next thing.
Because that's how your journey was.
And that's how it happens for most people. You'll find a book that resonates with you, and then somehow you find the other book. Then you'll go on a retreat. Then you'll meet people, and But there's so much wisdom out there. Deepak Chopra, Louise Hay, Michael A. Singer, who's hilarious and so wonderful. So much wisdom. But just get started.
And what do you want people to take away from Mindful Now?
Mindful Now, just to remember that it's not, you don't have to do anything special. I just want to keep it simple. You don't have to do any special classes, any special practices, any special time, any special room. Just do it now.
I think that's my takeaway, is baby steps and now.
Correct.
But if people want to get in touch with you, want to, communicate, find out more, how can they do that?
So I have an Instagram page, Facebook page, and a LinkedIn. So contact me on there. Mindfulness Now with Sainab.
Yes.
That's what it's called. Thank you.
Sainab, thank you so much for
thank you.
being here with me now.
Absolutely.
In the present.
In the present moment, I've thoroughly enjoyed it. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
Thank you. And to our listeners, don't forget to check out next week's episode. You won't want to miss it. I am truly honoured to introduce a storyteller whose work spans theatre, film, and even the most unexpected of stages. A playwright, screenwriter, and founder of Promised Land Productions. Please join me in welcoming the talented and visionary James Wood.
When you're really invested in something, so when I wrote that story, it was like the biggest thing to me, and I was like, I need to. This is the best thing I've ever done. And then years down the line, I've said that about loads of other stuff, and I'm just like, I need to sort of chill a little bit. If something's meant to be, it'll happen.
Teach me that.